I was dumped. No, to be precise, I was betrayed. I stood outside the office, peering through the glass door at the two people intimately wrapped in each other's arms, my boyfriend Miles and my best friend Emma. They were kissing passionately, as if they were the only two left in the world. 2 years of a relationship, 4 years of friendship, all crumbled in that single moment. Evelyn? What are you doing here? Miles spotted me outside the door, a flicker of panic crossing his face. Emma, however, was unfazed, even looking at me with a hint of defiance. Evelyn, I'm sorry, but you can't force feelings. I smiled, a calmness in my voice that felt alien even to myself. It's fine. I wish you both happiness. Mr. Miles, my resignation will be in your inbox tomorrow. Emma stepped forward and grabbed my arm. Evelyn, don't be like this, we can still be friends. I shook her hand off. Cut the hypocrisy. For years of friendship, only for you to secretly get involved with my boyfriend behind my back? That's disgusting. Miles sighed. Evelyn, I know what I did was wrong, but Emma and I genuinely fell in love. The firm is short-staffed right now. Please don't act impulsively. What? Are you afraid there'll be no one to take over Emma's projects if I leave? I sneered. Don't worry, I'll ensure a smooth handover, but don't expect me to work for you for another minute. I wish you despicable pair all the happiness in the world. As I left the firm, my steps were light, as if a 1,000-pound burden had been lifted. Back home, I opened a bottle of red wine and started updating my resume while I drank. A few drinks in, the alcohol began to take hold, and I finally couldn't hold back my tears. They weren't for Miles, that jerk, but for my own stupidity and naivete. Miles was the firm's creative director, and I was his copy chief. After we started dating, I poured all my energy into work, helping him secure one major client after another, oblivious that he had already gotten tea. Together with Emma. Even more ironic, I was the one who brought Emma into the firm. She was inferior to me in every way, yet she knew how to charm men, especially Miles, acting all cutesy and helpless. It made me sick to watch. Now, it was all gone. The firm, my boyfriend, my best friend. I downed the last sip of wine and drifted into a heavy sleep. I woke up the next day with a splitting headache. I checked my phone, over a dozen missed calls, all from Miles and Emma. I blocked them instantly, then opened a job board. As I was browsing job postings, my old classmate Daniel suddenly called. Evelyn, I heard you resigned. I happen to have a position here that might be perfect for you. Want to consider it? What position? Creatives assistant at Evergreen. The annual salary is double what you're making now. I hesitated. Evergreen? As in Alexander's firm? Daniel chuckled. That's right. What, scared? Alexander can be a bit difficult to deal with, but you're so capable, you'll be fine. Alexander, a rising star in the business world, was known for being cold and domineering. Rumor had it he'd gone through several assistants, none of whom lasted more than 3 months. But at this point, I had no other choice. When's the interview? Tomorrow at 9 a.m. I've already recommended your resume to HR, so it should pass the initial screening quickly. Perhaps, this was a turning point in my destiny. Evergreen Corporate Headquarters, a 68-story skyscraper, exuded a stark, metallic aura. Dressed in a sharp black suit, I entered the imposing building. The interview went smoothly. HR was very impressed with my resume and sent me directly to the top floor to meet Alexander. As the elevator ascended, my heartbeat quickened. With a soft chime, the elevator doors opened. A long corridor stretched before me, ending at a large black door. I took a deep breath and walked towards it. Come in, a deep male voice called from inside. I pushed the door open to reveal a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a panoramic view of the city. A man in a sharp suit stood with his back to me, talking on the phone. This proposal won't do. Redo the entire thing. His voice was icy, leaving no room for negotiation. He hung up the phone and turned around. It was my first time seeing Alexander. In his early 30s, with chiseled features and a piercing gaze, his jawline sharply defined, and eyes as keen as a hawk's. Evelyn? He glanced at me. Daniel's recommendation? I nodded. Yes, Mr. Alexander. He gestured for me to sit, then opened my resume. Worked at the firm for 3 years, creative department head, led the team on several key projects. He looked up at me. Why did you leave? I hadn't expected such a direct question. After a moment's hesitation, I decided to be honest. Personal reasons. I had a private relationship with the firm's creative, and after we broke up, it wasn't suitable to continue working together. He smirked. An office romance? It was my error in judgment. I met his gaze, but I assure you, It won't affect my work performance. Interesting. He gave me a knowing look. Do you know why I agreed to interview you? I shook my head. Because your ex-boyfriend Miles has an excellent reputation in the industry, and yet your abilities are even stronger than his. I've reviewed several cases you spearheaded. They were truly outstanding. I was a little surprised, having no idea he knew so much about me. However, his voice suddenly turned cold. I don't need anyone here who brings personal emotions into their work. Can you guarantee that? I can. He stared at me for a few seconds, then nodded. All right, start tomorrow. Ms. Elaine will arrange your tasks. That's it? I was stunned. It was that simple? As if sensing my confusion, he said lightly, you'll have a 1-month probation period. If you don't meet expectations, you're out. Thank you for your trust, Mr. Alexander. I won't disappoint you. I breathed a sigh of relief as I left the office. Finally, I had a job. The next day, I arrived at the firm promptly. Ms. Elaine was a shrewd and capable woman in her 40s. She showed me around and introduced me to my colleagues. Mr. Alexander has a short temper, but his abilities are exceptional. You'll learn a lot from him, Ms. Elaine cautioned me. Just be sure never to cross him. I nodded. I'll keep that in mind. During lunchtime, as I was making coffee in the break room, I suddenly heard whispers behind me. Did you hear? The new assistant seems to be Daniel's recommendation. Another rich girl trying to add a prestigious name to her resume, I bet. She probably won't last a month. I heard she's pretty. Do you think she's after Mr. Alexander? I turned around to face the 3 gossiping female colleagues and smiled. Hello everyone, I'm Evelyn, the new assistant director. As for how long I'll last, why don't we wait and see? Their faces fell, and they offered awkward smiles before hastily leaving. I carried my coffee back to the office and found a stack of files on my desk with a sticky note attached. Urgent. Must be completed today. Alexander. I opened it to find a proposal for an important client, due tomorrow. The challenges sure came quickly. I let out a wry laugh and buried myself in work. The day flew by. I barely left my seat, even having dinner in the office. At 10 p.m., I finally completed the proposal. The office was deserted, with only me remaining. Just as I stretched and prepared to pack up, the office door suddenly swung open. Alexander walked in, appearing to have just finished a meeting, his suit jacket draped over his arm, his tie slightly loosened. Still here? He looked at me, a hint of surprise in his tone. I stood up. Mr. Alexander, I just finished the proposal you assigned. He walked to my desk, picked up the files I'd prepared, and began to review them. I stood nervously beside him, my heart racing. Not bad. He nodded. A rare gesture from him. Some truly innovative ideas. I breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. He looked up at me, a faint smile, rare for him, gracing his face. Looks like Daniel didn't misjudge you. I'll continue to work hard. He suddenly asked, do you have a boyfriend? The question came so unexpectedly that I hesitated. I just broke up with someone. Then focus on your work and don't waste any more time on people who aren't worth it. He turned to leave, then paused. You'll join tomorrow's meeting as well. I was stunned. Assistant directors usually didn't attend high-level meetings. Thank you for your trust, Mr. Alexander. He said nothing more, just nodded and walked out. On my way home, I kept replaying the day's events. Alexander didn't seem as difficult to deal with as the rumors suggested. At least, he appeared to approve of my work. At the meeting the next day, I witnessed Alexander's ruthless efficiency for the first time. A department manager's report was riddled with flaws, and Alexander pointed them out on the spot, making cold sweat trickle down the manager's forehead. When it was the creative department's turn to report, director looked visibly nervous. He'd barely spoken 2 sentences before Alexander interrupted him. This proposal is too conservative, it lacks innovation. Jonathan's face turned beet red. Mr. Alexander, we were aiming for a cautious approach. Alexander looked at him coldly. With market competition this fierce, you present me with a plan like this? The conference room fell silent, the tension palpable. I don't know where I found the courage, but I suddenly raised my hand. Mr. Alexander, I have an idea. May I add to this? Everyone stared at me in surprise, including Alexander. He smirked. Speak. I took a deep breath, succinctly analyzed the current market situation, then presented an innovative marketing strategy. After I finished, the conference room was silent. My heart racing, I wondered if I had been too presumptuous. Alexander stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. Proceed with Evelyn's proposal. Jonathan, you should learn from her. Jonathan's face was utterly grim, but he could only nod in agreement. After the meeting, he stopped me. Evelyn, do you know what you're doing? Trying to steal my thunder? I looked at him calmly. I'm just doing my job. Don't think you're hot stuff just because Mr. Alexander has your back. In this firm, no one can help you, Jonathan threatened in a low voice. I wasn't intimidated. Mr. Jonathan, instead of worrying about me stealing your thunder, perhaps you should spend more time improving your own capabilities. With that, I turned and left, leaving him with a livid face. Back in the office, I had barely sat down when Ms. Elaine hurried over. Mr. Alexander wants to see you. My heart sank. Was it because my performance at the meeting was too abrupt? I walked into Alexander's office. He was looking at documents, not bothering to lift his head. Sit. I quietly sat down, awaiting his judgment. You were very bold in the meeting today. He finally looked up. But I like your proposal. I breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Starting tomorrow, you'll report directly to me. I looked at him in surprise. But I'm just an assistant. Your capabilities go beyond that. Jonathan's position, it's long overdue for a replacement. I understood his implication and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Mr. Alexander, won't this cause resentment among other colleagues? He sneered. It's my firm, and I make the decisions. You just focus on doing your job. I left the office with mixed emotions. Joy, worry, nervousness, they all intertwined. That evening, Danielle invited me to dinner. So, how are you adapting to the new environment? I nodded. Thank you for the recommendation. Mr. Alexander. He's actually quite good. Danielle smiled. Alexander really isn't as cold as the rumors suggest. He values ability, and as long as you're excellent, he'll give you plenty of room to grow. I recalled the day's events. He seems to trust me a lot. Then seize this opportunity, Danielle poured me a drink. Here's to your new beginning. In the days that followed, I fully immersed myself in work. Alexander gave me many opportunities, entrusting me with important projects and involving me in crucial decisions. Many people at the firm grew jealous, but I ignored them, focusing solely on doing my job. A month later, I officially passed my probation and was appointed associate, skipping several levels. This caused quite a stir, and Jonathan, in particular, harbored intense hatred for me. That afternoon, I was working late in the office when I suddenly heard a commotion outside. I stepped out and saw Emma, arm in arm with Miles, standing at the front desk, asking questions. Which department does Evelyn work in? We're her friends, here to visit her, Emma's saccharine voice floated over. I scoffed and walked forward. Long time no see. What brings you two here? Seeing me, both of them clearly froze for a moment. Evelyn. Emma feigned surprise, letting go of Miles's arm and moving to hug me, but I stepped aside. Can I help you? I asked coolly. Miles cleared his throat. Evelyn, we heard you're doing well at Evergreen. We came to congratulate you. Thank you, but it's not necessary. Emma pouted. Evelyn, I know you're still angry, but things are as they are. Can't we just get along like adults? I was about to respond when a cold voice came from behind me. Associate Gu, and these two are? Alexander had appeared behind me at some point, dressed in a dark gray suit, exuding a commanding presence. Mr. Alexander, I nodded slightly. These are former colleagues of mine, they're here to see me. Alexander's gaze swept over Miles and Emma, as if he were scrutinizing two ants. Oh, you must be Mr. Alexander? I've heard so much about you. Miles extended his hand. I'm Miles from the firm's creative department, and this is my girlfriend, Emma. Alexander didn't extend his hand, merely giving a slight nod. Director? I hear your firm's performance has been declining lately? Miles's face stiffened. The market environment isn't great, is that so? Odd, because our firm's performance hasn't just avoided decline, it's grown by 30%. Alexander's lips curled into a cold smirk. Thanks in no small part to Associate Evelyn's contributions. A flicker of jealousy crossed Emma's eyes as she forced a smile. Evelyn has always been exceptional. Alexander glanced at his watch. I apologize, but Associate Evelyn and I have an important meeting. If there's nothing else, please excuse yourselves. With that, he gently patted my shoulder, signaling for me to follow him. Once inside the elevator, I finally let out a breath. Thank you for that, Mr. Alexander. So, they were your ex-boyfriend and best friend? Alexander suddenly asked. I was a little surprised he remembered. Yes. He scoffed. No wonder. What do you mean? I asked hesitantly. Nothing, just that your taste is terrible. Alexander looked straight ahead. People like that are completely unworthy of you. I froze. That sounded like jealousy? Alexander seemed to realize he'd said too much and quickly changed the subject. How are you coming along with preparations for tomorrow's project meeting? Back in the office, my mind remained unsettled for a long time. Alexander's attitude towards me seemed to transcend a mere superior-subordinate relationship. But I didn't dare to overthink it. After all, the previous lesson was still fresh, and I'd had enough of the bitterness of workplace romance. I worked late into the evening. As I was packing up to leave, I suddenly felt a wave of dizziness. I grabbed the desk, trying to keep my balance. This feeling wasn't unfamiliar. It was a chronic condition I'd hidden for years, anemia. Usually, as long as I took my medication on time, it wouldn't flare up, but recently, with increased work pressure, I often forgot to take my pills. I fumbled through my bag for the pill bottle, only to find it empty. Damn, I'd forgotten to refill my prescription. I took several deep breaths, trying to feel better, then slowly made my way towards the door. Before I was halfway there, my vision went black, and I felt myself falling forward. In the last moment of consciousness, I felt myself caught by a pair of strong arms. When I woke, I found myself lying on an unfamiliar bed. This wasn't my home, nor was it the hospital. I sat up cautiously, looking around. It was a luxurious bedroom, minimalist in style, primarily black, white, and gray, elegant yet modern. Awake? A familiar voice asked. Alexander stood at the doorway, holding a glass of water and a few pills. It was then that I realized I might be at his place. Mr. Alexander? Is this my apartment? He walked to the bedside, handing me the water and pills. The doctor said you have severe anemia and need rest. I awkwardly took the water and pills. Thank you, I'm really sorry for the trouble. Why didn't you tell me you had anemia? His voice carried a hint of reproach. I looked down. It's not a serious illness, I just need to be careful normally. Not serious? His voice rose a few pitches. Do you know how worried I was when you fainted last night? I looked up at him in surprise. His eyes were full of concern, and an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. I'm sorry, I didn't want this to affect my work. Alexander took a deep breath, seemingly suppressing his anger. Which is more important, work or your life? I didn't know how to answer. In my world, work was everything. After losing Miles and Emma, I'd poured all my energy into my career, wanting to prove myself. From today on, take your medication on time every day, leave work punctually, and no more working late. Alexander's tone was unyielding. That's an order. I gave a wry smile. Mr. Alexander. That's not realistic. Why isn't it realistic? He cut me off. Either you listen to me, or you resign and recuperate at home. I knew he was serious and could only nod. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Eat something. He pointed to the porridge on the nightstand. I had my housekeeper make it. Drink it while it's warm. Watching him leave, a warmth spread through my heart. Who would have thought that Alexander, rumored to be cold and ruthless, could be so thoughtful and caring in private? After finishing the porridge, I felt much better. Just as I was about to get out of bed, Alexander returned. What are you doing? He frowned. I should go home. Rest here today. I'll take you back tomorrow. His tone was unquestionable. There are new pajamas in the closet, a new toothbrush in the bathroom. Everything is new. I was a little surprised. You're very thoughtful. He cleared his throat, seeming a bit uncomfortable. Just rest. If you need anything, press the call button by the bed. And so, I spent the night at Alexander's apartment. Although his actions made me feel warm, I cautioned myself not to read too much into it. Perhaps he just didn't want to lose a capable assistant. The next day, I insisted on returning to the firm, but Alexander's stance was firm. Take another day off. But the project. I tried to argue. The firm won't collapse without you for one day. He took the coat the butler offered. I'm going to the firm now. You rest well. I'll pick you up tonight. The feeling was so strange, as if we were an ordinary couple, not superior and subordinate. I wandered aimlessly around his apartment, trying to understand this mysterious man. The living room had almost no decorations, only a framed photo of him and an older man. That must be his father, I thought. They looked very much alike, both with handsome, rugged features. The study, however, felt very lived in. Bookshelves lined with all kinds of books, from economics and management to light literature and art, filled the walls. I picked up a book at random. It was 1 Years of Solitude, with notes written inside. The handwriting was neat and strong, reflecting the same determined character as the man himself. That evening, Alexander returned to pick me up as promised. How are you feeling? He asked. Much better, thank you, I said, a little self-conscious. I'm really sorry for the trouble. He glanced at me. Don't be so polite in the future. Just call me Alexander. I froze. Isn't that inappropriate? Why would it be inappropriate? You're my superior. At the firm, I'm Mr. Alexander. Privately, I hope you'll call me Alexander. His gaze was serious. Can you do that? I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Okay. Alexander. A satisfied smile appeared on his face, and in that moment, my heart skipped a beat. After returning to the firm, I noticed Alexander had truly changed his attitude towards me. He was no longer as strict as before, showing me more concern. Every day as quitting time approached, he would check my office to see if I was still working late, and if he found I hadn't taken my medication on time, he would personally hand me a glass of water. These changes didn't go unnoticed by the people at the firm, leading to much gossip. Jonathan's nitpicking intensified. He'd oppose my proposals and meetings at every turn or spread rumors behind my back about Alexander and me having an improper relationship. I tried my best to ignore it and focus on my work. But sometimes, the idle chatter still affected my mood. That afternoon, as I was organizing files, Jonathan suddenly burst into my office, his face grim. Evelyn, why did Mr. Alexander choose your project proposal again this time? I looked at him calmly. Perhaps because my proposal better meets market demands. Stop pretending, he hissed, lowering his voice. Everyone knows what tricks you're pulling. You were a nobody a month ago, and now you've climbed to associate. Who believes you got there on merit? I clenched my fists, suppressing my anger. Mr. Jonathan, please mind your words. If you have an issue, you can report it directly to Mr. Alexander. Mr. Alexander? He only has eyes for you now. Jonathan gritted his teeth. But don't get too ahead of yourself, who knows how long this relationship will last. I was about to retort when the office door suddenly swung open. Alexander stood at the doorway, his face as dark as stormy water. Jonathan, what are you doing? Jonathan's face instantly changed, replacing his scowl with a smile. Mr. Alexander, I was just discussing work with Associate Evelyn. Get out. Alexander's voice was as cold as ice. Jonathan slunk away. Alexander walked up to me. What did he say? I shook my head. Nothing, just a work disagreement. Is it because of my attitude towards you? He keenly perceived the real issue. I didn't want to put him in a difficult position. There's always some gossip at the firm, there's no need to pay attention to it. Alexander was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, pack your things and come with me. Where? To show them. Half an hour later, we arrived at the firm's annual client reception. This was one of Evergreen's most important social events, attended by all executives and key clients. The moment Alexander entered, he became the center of attention. He actively introduced me to various clients, emphasizing my importance and contributions to the firm. This project was entirely planned by Associate Evelyn, he told an important client. Her creativity and execution are invaluable assets to our firm. The client nodded repeatedly. Indeed, very impressive. No wonder Mr. Alexander values you so highly. Throughout the evening, Alexander kept me by his side, showing everyone his trust and esteem for me. Jonathan stood in a corner, his face livid, while other colleagues who had previously had opinions about me no longer dared to say anything. After the annual client reception, Alexander drove me home. Thank you for everything you did tonight, I said sincerely. He glanced at me. I was just doing the right thing. Your abilities deserve everyone's respect. The car stopped outside my building. As I was about to get out, he suddenly took my hand. Evelyn, there's something I want to tell you. It was the first time he'd called me Evelyn instead of Associate Director Gu. My heart raced. What is it? I know you have reservations about workplace relationships, especially after your last experience. His voice was low and firm. But I want you to know that my feelings for you are serious. I stared at him in surprise, unsure how to respond. You don't need to give me an answer now. He released my hand. I'll wait until you're ready. I returned home, pondering his words all night. Alexander, a superior I had initially thought cold and heartless, had actually confessed his feelings for me? Was this not a delusion? More importantly, how should I respond? Was I truly ready to start a new relationship? In the following days, Alexander didn't change his attitude towards me because of his confession. He remained professional, still strict, but his gaze held a new gentleness, reserved only for me. I was also slowly changing. I no longer worked late excessively, learned to take care of my body, and began to consider that the meaning of life extended beyond just work. The rumors at the firm gradually subsided, especially after Alexander publicly praised my work in a management meeting. forcing Jonathan to curb his behavior significantly. That afternoon, as I was preparing materials for the next day's meeting in the office, my phone suddenly rang. It was Miles. I hesitated, then answered. Evelyn, I need you urgently. His voice sounded anxious. What is it? Emma was in a car accident and is at City General Hospital now. She keeps calling your name. Could you please come? My heart jolted. Although had betrayed me, our 4 years of friendship still kept me from being completely indifferent. I'll be right there. I hung up, immediately packed my things, and sent Alexander a text message saying I had to leave for an emergency. When I arrived at the hospital, Miles was waiting at the entrance. He looked haggard, his eyes bloodshot. Evelyn, thank you for coming. How is Emma? The doctor said her life isn't in danger, but she needs surgery, Miles sighed. She kept saying she wanted to see you, like she has something to tell you. I followed him into the hospital room. Emma lay on the bed, her face pale, her head bandaged. Seeing me, a complex emotion flickered in her eyes. Evelyn, you came, she said weakly. I walked to the bedside. The doctor said you'll be fine, don't worry. I have something to tell you. She motioned for Miles to leave, and once he was gone, Emma suddenly grabbed my hand. I'm so sorry, Evelyn, I really regret it. I was a little surprised. What are you saying? After I got together with Miles, I realized he wasn't nearly as good as you said he was. Her eyes welled up with tears. He kept comparing me to you, saying I wasn't as outstanding or as smart as you. We fought every day. I was truly miserable. I didn't know what to say. The funniest part is, she said with a bitter laugh, he cheated on me, with someone from the marketing department. Just as he betrayed you, he betrayed me. My heart was a tangle of emotions. I didn't know whether to pity her or see it as karma. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, I just want you to know that I truly regret it. Losing you as a friend was the biggest mistake of my life. I was silent for a moment, then finally spoke. Emma, let bygones be bygones. I no longer hate you, nor do I hate Miles. That relationship, for me, is already a distant memory. She looked at me in surprise. You've changed. People always change, I smiled slightly. I hope you recover soon. Leaving the hospital room, I let out a long breath, as if a heavy weight had finally lifted from my chest. The pain of the past no longer held sway over me, because I had found a new direction, a new life, and perhaps, new love. Back home, I had just finished showering when the doorbell suddenly rang. Opening the door, Alexander stood outside, his face grim. You went to the hospital? I looked at him in surprise. How did you know? Daniel saw you at the hospital, his voice sounded tight. You went to see Miles and Emma? It was then I understood why he was so worried. He must have thought Miles and Emma was in a car accident. They called me to go there. Alexander's expression softened slightly. And then? Then I found out Miles had betrayed Emma again and was trying to get back with me. I shrugged. Too bad, I'm not that foolish girl anymore. His eyes lit up. So I rejected him, permanently. I met his gaze. Because I might already have someone else in my heart. Alexander's expression instantly softened. He took a step forward and pulled me into his arms. I thought I was going to lose you. I leaned against his chest, listening to his strong heartbeat. You won't lose me. He looked down at me, his eyes full of tenderness. May I kiss you? I nodded, closing my eyes. His kiss was gentle yet firm, just like him. 3 months later, Alexander and I made our relationship public. Surprisingly, most people at the firm offered their blessings. It turned out they had already sensed the romantic tension between us but hadn't spoken about it due to workplace dynamics. Jonathan was transferred to a branch office. Ms. Elaine told me he had requested it himself. I suppose, for him, it was a new beginning too. After was discharged from the hospital, we occasionally exchanged text messages. While we couldn't return to our former closeness, at least we were no longer enemies. As for Miles, I heard his firm was struggling and about to be acquired. And the acquiring party was none other than Evergreen. Was that deliberate? I asked Alexander. He smirked. Just a business decision, no personal grudges involved. But I knew he was silently declaring to the world, anyone who dared to hurt me would pay the price. This feeling of being protected was something I had never experienced. Daniel was the first to congratulate us. At a dinner gathering, he raised his glass. I always knew you two would end up together. From the moment Alexander first saw you, he told me, that's the person I want. I looked at Alexander in surprise. Is that true? Alexander cleared his throat, a little embarrassed. More or less. More or less, how? I pressed. Daniel laughed. His exact words were, That woman, she's mine. We both laughed. On the way home, Alexander held my hand. Do you regret meeting me? I shook my head. If I hadn't met you, I might still be lost in the pain of the past, unable to move on. You helped me regain my confidence and find meaning in life again. Me too. His voice was low and tender. Before I met you, my world was just work, cold and solitary. You brought warmth and color into it. Sounds like we're even then, I said, leaning my head on his shoulder. Alexander stopped walking and pulled a small box from his pocket. Not quite even yet. He knelt on one knee and opened the box to reveal a sparkling diamond ring. Evelyn, marry me. Let me spend my life loving you. Tears streamed down my face, unchecked. You know what I'm going to say. I still want to hear you say it. I do. He stood up, gently wiped the tears from my face, then slid the ring onto my finger. From this day forward, no matter what challenges we face, I'll be by your side, he vowed. I stood on my tiptoes and kissed his lips. Me too. Perhaps that's just how life works. When one door closes, another window is bound to open. The betrayals and heartache of the past had, in fact, become the catalyst for happiness. And after weathering all the storms, I had finally found my own clear S. Kentucky. No longer was it falling and being abandoned, but falling and having someone help you up, walking beside you as you continued forward. That was the meaning of love, and the most precious gift life had given me. Life always has its ups and downs, and love its twists and turns, but as long as love is by your side, even the darkest night will see the dawn. Just as Alexander had told me, the best kind of love isn't about smooth sailing, but about weathering storms together. And our story was just beginning. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.